The crowd that morning was loud, angry, and certain they were right. Dust swirled in the warm air of Jerusalem, and people pressed together in a tight circle. In the middle of that circle stood a woman, trembling. Her head was lowered, her shoulders shaking, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear the shouting around her. She knew what the law said. She knew what punishment awaited her, and she believed this was the day her life would end. The men who dragged her there were religious leaders, proud and confident. They had caught her in sin, and now they wanted justice, swift, public, and final. But deep inside, they wanted something else, too. They wanted to trap the teacher everyone was talking about, the man called Jesus Christ. Crowds followed him everywhere. He healed the sick, welcomed the poor, and spoke about love in ways people had never heard before. The leaders did not like that. They believed he threatened their authority. So they pushed the woman forward until she stumbled and fell into the dust. Then they turned to Jesus, who'd been teaching quietly in the temple courtyard. "Teacher," one of them said, his voice sharp and loud so everyone could hear, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commands us to stone such a woman. Now what do you say?" The crowd grew silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Everyone waited for his answer. If Jesus said, "Stone her," he would sound harsh and unforgiving, contradicting the mercy he preached. But if he said, "Do not stone her," the leaders could accuse him of breaking the sacred law given through Moses. It was a trap carefully set, and they believed there was no escape. But Jesus did something unexpected. He did not argue, he did not shout, he did not defend himself. Instead, he bent down slowly and began to write with his finger in the sand. The people leaned forward, squinting to see the marks forming on the dusty ground. The leaders frowned, confused. What was he doing? Why was he silent? The woman, still on her knees, lifted her eyes just enough to watch his hand move. Each line he drew was calm and steady. The dust shifted beneath his finger, forming words no one had expected. The Bible never tells us exactly what Jesus wrote that day. That mystery has lived in the hearts of people for thousands of years. Some believe he wrote the secret sins of the men standing there, the lies they told, the pride they carried, the wrongs they tried to hide. Others believe he wrote the words of God's law, reminding them that justice without mercy is not true justice at all. Whatever he wrote, it struck their hearts like thunder. The leaders pressed him again. "Answer us," they demanded. "What should we do with her?" Jesus stood up slowly. His eyes moved across the crowd, meeting each face with quiet strength. Then he spoke words that would echo through history. "Let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." The words fell into the silence like a heavy weight. No one moved. No one spoke. Then Jesus bent down again and continued writing in the sand. One by one, the people began to shift. The oldest man in the crowd felt his hand grow weak. He remembered his own failures, harsh words spoken in anger, promises broken, selfish choices made in secret. The stone in his hand suddenly felt too heavy to hold. It slipped from his fingers and landed softly on the ground. Another man looked down at the dust and saw his own reflection in the truth of those words. He remembered the times he had judged others while hiding his own guilt. Slowly he turned and walked away. Soon the sound of footsteps filled the courtyard. Sand crunched beneath sandals as the accusers left, one after another, until the circle disappeared completely. The shouting was gone. The anger was gone. Only silence remained. The woman stayed where she was, too afraid to move. She expected another command, another accusation, another punishment. But instead, she heard a gentle voice. Jesus stood before her once more. "Woman," he asked softly, "where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She looked around in disbelief. The crowd that had surrounded her was gone. The men who wanted her dead had vanished. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "No one, Lord." Then Jesus spoke words filled with mercy and hope, words that changed her life forever. "Neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." In that moment, the dust on the ground became a symbol of grace. The same earth that once held stones of judgment now carried words of forgiveness. The same place that felt like the end of her story became the beginning of a new one. People have wondered for centuries what Jesus wrote in the sand. Scholars have debated it. Teachers have preached about it. Children have asked about it in Sunday school classes. But perhaps the real message was never about the exact words. Perhaps the message was about the heart. Jesus showed that everyone makes mistakes. Every person carries failures, regrets, and hidden struggles. Yet he also showed that mercy is stronger than judgment, and compassion is more powerful than anger. He reminded the crowd, and reminds us today, that before we point fingers at others, we should look honestly at ourselves. The wind eventually blew across the courtyard that day, erasing the marks in the sand. The words disappeared, but their meaning did not. It traveled from generation to generation, from parents to children, from teachers to students, from one broken heart to another. And even now, when people feel ashamed, afraid, or judged, they remember that quiet moment in the dusty streets of Jerusalem. They remember a teacher who chose mercy instead of punishment. They remember a